Hey everybody, it's time for more Alienated. We are up to chapter 35 already, so I hope you're enjoying this story. If you are, make sure you hit subscribe, and that way every time there's a new chapter uploaded, you'll get a notification and you won't miss anything. So thanks for reading along with me. Chapter 35. Oh, before we start, a quick shout out. This is going all the way to Toronto, which is why I'm wearing my Toronto Blue Jays shirt, to Amelie. Amelie, hope you're doing really well. Big hello from me in London, and let's crack on. Groom Lake Redemption, Chapter 35. I saw this prison movie once, where the prisoner escaped by digging a tunnel behind a poster he'd put up in the cell. The poster was of Rita Hayworth, a beautiful movie star from the 1940s. She had wavy hair and was kneeling on a bed, smiling an old-fashioned Hollywood smile. It took the man 19 years, scraping away with a little chisel to dig his way to freedom. I'd been thinking about him for hours, because that exact poster was on the wall of my own cell. I couldn't resist taking a peek underneath, but there was no tunnel. Instead, "No Redemption" was scrawled in thick red marker pen on the cream-colored concrete. Prison guards, I decided, had a warped sense of humor. I noticed a tiny spy camera filming me from the corner of the ceiling, and I imagined a patrol of pot-bellied, uniformed guards clutching mugs of instant coffee and inhaling donuts, watching their screens and chuckling at the incarcerated rocket racer. "Heads up, kid," a voice said. I looked up to see a guard who looked about 60, dressed in a green uniform so crisp it could give you a paper cut, with muscles Graz would maim for. He swiped a keycard in the corridor, and a loud buzz startled me. The metal bars slid open, and I made the mistake of getting my hopes up. "Am I getting out?" I asked. "I don't think you are ever getting out, kid." "Oh," I sighed, think I'd better start digging behind Rita. "But you do have a visitor." He motioned to someone I couldn't see, and I heard footsteps echo in the concrete. Then, my heart sinking faster than a Centurion mothership, I saw Dad. Standing there in rolled-up shirt sleeves, red-eyed and bristly-chinned, he held 2 ice cream tubs in his hand. 10 minutes, Mr. Capote," the guard said, and strode off, fingers stuck in his belt like a sheriff. Dad sat down next to me on the bed and handed me a tub. "Don't get too excited, Sherman," he said. "It's just ice cream. There's no key hidden in there or anything." And then you know what he did? He actually smiled. Instead of scolding me, lecturing me, or displaying his deep disappointment in me, he gave me a break. I peeled off the lid and gazed at the green and brown swirl. It was mint chocolate, my favorite. "How did you know? You think I don't know my boy's favorite ice cream?" Honestly, I didn't. I dug in with my little plastic spoon. It tasted of comfort. The flavor was an Air Force staple, available on bases all over the world, and as a kid, it was always the one thing that comforted me after disappointing Dad on whatever sports field was popular in our host country. I had slurped the swirl after rugby in England, baseball in Korea, tennis in France, and soccer in Germany. And yet today, not even the perfect blend of artificial mint and chocolate could comfort me. "Dad," I said, "they're going to send me to the gulag, aren't they?" "I just don't know yet," he said. "This is all way, way above my pay grade." "Well, you could ask for a raise." I turned my spoon upside down, scraped some ice cream onto my tongue, and let it melt in my mouth. "What were you doing out there, son? You get banned by NATO from ever touching rockets, and your response is to race one?" "2, technically," I said. "It was a double fusion system, so..." "Sometimes I just don't understand you," he said. "You and Jessica are the 2 most important things in the universe to me, and yet sometimes you both seem so, I don't know, alien to me." He still didn't sound angry, just really confused. So I braced myself, ignored the churning awkwardness in my stomach, and told him about Juliet. About trying to impress her so she'd want to go to the prom with me. Then I was about to try one last time to warn him about the Neds, when for the second time in 5 minutes, Dad threw me a curveball. He started dishing out dating advice. "Sherman, if that's how you feel about her," he said, "you have to tell her. Now, before it's too late. I wish I'd told your mother one last time before..." "Time's up, Mr. Capote," said the guard. "My boss will be back in a minute. If I get caught..." "Thank you, Gord," said my dad. "I appreciate you letting me see my boy." "Don't mention it," replied Gord. He opened the bars with that buzz and beckoned my father from the cell. "Seriously, don't mention it to anyone. Oh, and by the way, I'm out of printer ink." "Copy that," said Dad, rising and stepping into the corridor of freedom. "Oh, Sherman, I almost forgot." He held out his hand and gave me a purple rubber bracelet. "Your friend Octo gave this to me for you," Dad said. "Kind of weird present, guy to guy, but..." Gord grabbed the bracelet. "I need to check that item," he said, rubbing it between fingers and thumb. I held my breath, hoping that the guard had never seen a Ventitent wormhole conduit before. "It's a style statement," I lied. "Well, I wouldn't wear that in the big boys' lockup," he warned, handing it back to Dad, who slipped it onto my wrist. "But other than that, it looks harmless enough." "I'll come back for you, son," said Dad. "Don't go anywhere, kid," quipped Gord, slamming the door behind them and escorting my dad along the corridor, leaving me to plot my escape. I tried to open the bracelet. It should have been easy, but that's when I realized that Ventitents were ridiculously strong. I tugged, yanked, and pulled until I was lying back down, trying to expand the rubber with the force of my left foot. I could just see the YouTube video now that the guards would post, me squirming beneath a poster of Rita Hayworth wrestling with a purple bracelet. At least if I failed, there wouldn't be anyone on Earth left to watch it. I was still lying on the floor, feeling defeated, when a terrifying picture popped in my brain. And almost like I was their 3D surround image of Juliet gazing into Ned's eyes, saying, "I do." And that did the trick. I gave the bracelet one almighty pull with both hands. It made a crackling sound, followed by a low hum, and I was finally able to stretch it to the size of a hula hoop. I placed the vortex on the floor, blew Rita a kiss, and jumped through the fabric of the universe. Okay, that's chapter 35. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 36. Everybody, thank you so much for enjoying the story and reading along with me, and also for your comments. I'm getting some fantastic comments and questions through the website. Please keep it up. And teachers, if you're watching and listening along as well, feel free to share this with your class. I know you're trying to do everything that you can to teach in a remote in a new way. So if you're doing remote learning, feel free to use these videos. And come back tomorrow. Stay in, stay safe, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Thanks.